One theory that can be linked to ideology is from Karl Marx. Marx believed that the wealthy people exploit from the non-wealthy people. The wealthy people did this to the non-wealthy people by making them working on the minimum wage, as the wealthy took the profit from themselves. This may seem unfair or no sense to the unwealthy. However, Marx stated that this is linked to ideology, as it is said in a book by Paul Hodgkins, Media, Cultural and Society. For Marx, the dominant ways of thinking in a society will always reflect the current mode, production, and the interests of the ruling class. This means that if you think dominantly in a society, it means ideology. But technically, you're being controlled by someone who has more power than you. Now, we can't argue because according to Marx, dominant ideology was actually accepted by the non-wealthy because ideology was promoted something called false consciousness, where the non-wealthy did not realize that they're being exploited. Now, let's take a good example. You may have seen during your childhood from Walt Disney, where he will portray an image of a weak princess that will be saved by the strong prince, and later live in happily ever after, which is heavily promoted in the movies. This had led to expectations of people to have that kind of life, even though it seemed unrealistic. Quote, "Men have broad shoulders and narrow hips, and accordingly, they possess intelligence. Women have narrow shoulders and broad hips. Women ought to stay at home. The way they were created indicates this, for they have broad hips and fundament to sit upon, keep house and bear and raise children." Martin Luther, 1531. Now, hearing that in the bit 26 must be crazy, right? But hear me out. For centuries, arguments like this are often used to justify the inequality between man and woman. Society treated the division of labor as something natural and eternal. Men were expected to be providers, while women were expected to stay at home, raise children, and take care of the family. Fast forward today, while the message may have changed, the expectation still stays. Women are constantly told what they should and shouldn't do. Wear something revealing? People say you're a bit seeking attention. Wear modesty and somehow you're respected. Show too much skin and you will be judged. Cover up and you will be praised. Now, we're not talking about religion, we put that aside first. We're talking about the inequality that is happening and the attention that has been put on women for centuries. It seems like no matter what women do, there will always be someone who will comment about it. Now imagine training for years, presenting your country on the world stage and competing between the best athletes in the world, only for people to focus on your clothing rather than your achievements. And this is what exactly happened in the case of Dabita Sabri. Instead of celebrating her achievements, skills, dedication as an athlete, much of this online discussion have shifted on what she was wearing.
Yo has urged the public not to impose their personal preferences on athletes who only had one goal in mind, which was to excel in their field of sports. During the Paris Olympic Games, some had questioned national diver Noor Tabita Sabri's sports attire, suggesting that sports brands should release more Sharia-compliant swimsuits.
So here's the question. Why are women still being evaluated based on appearance before ability? Now let's connect this with our previous discussion. Every day we are exposed to thousands of images through social media, advertisements, movies, and influencers. We see the same beauty standards repeatedly over and over again. And because we're constantly consuming this content, we are slowly start to accept that these standards are normal. Let's dive a little deeper on how media shapes our perception of beauty. For years, Victoria's Secret was one of the most influential fashion brands in the world. The brand became famous for its Victoria's Secret angels models who were tall, slim, and fit a very specific definition of beauty. Through advertisement, magazines, and fashion shows, audiences constantly saw the same image of what the ideal woman should look like. Now here's an interesting fact. Victoria's Secret never directly tell women that they have to look like angels. But when people start to see the same beauty standards repeatedly, They must be thinking, oh, this is it. You see, many young girls now had compared themselves to the models that they see in their phones. This influence often starts, yes, surprisingly, from the young age. Society gradually began associating beauty with being thin, youthful, and conventionally attractive. Some girls went on an extreme diet. Others exercised not for the sake of their health, but just to look slim to fit on these unrealistic standards. This led thousands of young girls to develop insecurities about their body, constantly feeling that they are not doing enough to fit in. Eventually, people start to speak up, and a lot of critics argues that Victoria's Secret was actually promoting unrealistic beauty standards. As public awareness grew, the company faced increasing pressure to become more inclusive and representative of real women. Beauty standards aren't the only example of how media can shape our perception of reality. Media also influences on how we see race and ethnicity. For decades, Hollywood promoted another controversial practice known as whitewashing. While Victoria's Secret influenced audience by presenting a narrow image of beauty, whitewashing influenced audiences by presenting a narrow image of who deserve to be seen on screen. This brings us to the next case. If representation matters so much, why were characters from Asian and people from minority backgrounds often replaced by white people on major films? Now, let's take a look on one of the popular examples of whitewashing movie, Ghost in the Shell. The original Ghost in the Shell is a Japanese manga and anime series. The character, Major Motoko Kusanagi, is Japanese. However, when Hollywood adapted the story into a live-action film in 2017, the role was given to Scarlett Johansson, a white American actress. This decision had sparked controversy around the world. Many people questioned why a Japanese character was not played by a Japanese actress. Critics argued that Hollywood was once again replacing an Asian character with a white actor, despite claiming to support diversity and representation. Supporting of the casting argued that Scarlett Johansson was a well-known actress that could attract a large audience and generate more profit on the film. But this raises one more important question. If Asian stories can only be successful when told through white actors, what message does that send about Asian actors and their place in the entertainment industry? This is where media ideology becomes relevant. For decades, Hollywood operated under the assumption that white actors are more marketable and commercially valuable. Because of this idea was repeated so long, many people has accepted it as normal. However, the success of Asian production films such as Squid Game or Parasite has changed this belief. This production achieved global success without replacing Asians actors or altering their cultural identity. This showed that the issue was never whether audience would accept Asian actors. It was an industry belief that had become normalized over time. And that is how ideology works. The media doesn't just reflect reality, it shapes what society believes is normal, valuable, and worthy of representation.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Surin Fatanya. So today, I will be discussing gender bias in media. I will explain gender bias and discuss two real-life cases, studies that show how it affects the society. So, before we look at the case studies, let's understand what gender bias is. Gender bias occurs when media represent one gender over another or portrays gender in stereotypical way. According to the Global Media Monitoring Project 2020, women make up only about 25% of people featured in news stories worldwide. This shows that gender bias is still existed in the media nowadays. So, question for everyone, who here watches football, badminton or any sports? Most sports fans can easily name famous male athletes, but can we name the same number of female athletes? The reason is that women's sport receive much less media attention. Studies have shown that women's sport receive less than 10% of total sports media coverage. For example, the FIFA's Women's World Cup attracts millions of viewers globally and features world-class athletes. However, compared to the Men's World Cup, women's matches receive less airtime, there are fewer advertisements, and media coverage is much lower. This sends a message that men's sports are more important than women's sports. So as a result, female athletes receive fewer sponsorship, they earn less recognition, and young girls have fewer sports role models. Imagine training every day, winning championships, and still receiving less attention simply because of your gender. That is a clear example of gender bias in media. Let's have a quick show of hands. If a Malaysian woman who win a world championship tomorrow, should she receive the same media attention as male athletes? Most people would say yes, but unfortunately, media coverage does not always reflect that media equality. Moving on to our second case study, this case study involves politics. When male politicians appear in the news, media often discuss their policies. Moving on to our second case study. Our second case study involves politics. So, in the politician world, male politicians appear in the news media often discuss about their policies, leadership, and experience, while when female politicians, they always get criticized by media coverage that focuses on their appearance, roles, and emotions, rather than their qualifications. For example, is Hillary Clinton in United States during 2016 presidential election. She was described by media that focuses on her clothing, her style, and her voice, rather than her experience, rather than her leadership. So people found her likable. Meanwhile, male candidates were more often evaluated based on their political ideas and leadership abilities. Think about it. If a male politician wear the same suit every day, most people won't notice. But if a female politician changes her hairstyle, it may become a news story. This shows how media can focus more on appearance than qualifications when reporting on women. The impact includes creating unfair standards, influencing voter perceptions, discourage women from entering politics, and reinforcing stereotypes that leadership is mainly a male role. So, another example also shows how media ideology shapes public opinion. Some people may think it's only media why it's important, but the answer is simple. Media influence how we think, how we believe, how we admire someone, and what career we pursue. So if media repeatedly portray women as less important in sports, politics, or leadership, society may start accepting those ideas are normal. So that's why balanced and fair representation is essential. So, to conclude, gender bias remains a significant issue in media ideology. Through our two case studies, we can see that female athletes receive less media coverage than male athletes, and female politicians are often judged differently from male politicians. These portrayals shape public attitudes and can reinforce gender inequality. Therefore, media organizations should provide fair and balanced representation so that individuals are recognized for their achievement and abilities rather than their gender. Thank you, that's all from me.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. So my name is Rina Usna. Today's topic is new media and the culture of distraction. So what is a new media? New media is a digital communications platform that share information through technology and also internet. Social media, website, podcasts, mobile apps, and also video share website are the example of it. The culture of distractions has emerged as a result of extensive uses of new media. Pupil focus and attention might be disrupted by the constant barrage of notifications, message, video, and also social media update. The first cases is Tajuddin Abdul Rahman mass controversy during LRT accident press conference. So in 2021, there is a LRT accident near KLCC. Then, the chairman of the Prasarana, Mr. Tajuddin Abdul Rahman, made a press conference to address the accident and provide updates regarding the incidents. However, the public attentions was quickly shifted to his failure to wear a proper mask during a COVID-19 pandemic. Instead of focusing on the informations, the accident, the victims update, people and online discussion concentrate to his appearance and compliance with the COVID-19 safety rules because of how the masks that he used and are not the one that we need to use. Next is a W Korea Love Your W Breast Cancer Awareness Events in South Korea 2005. Event was intended to spread awareness about breast cancer and also related charitable causes. However, the updates from the social media and news from the event turns out to be a different things. People saw that the event wasn't about a charity event itself. Public attention shifted away from the health issue and focused more on celebrity appearance, fashions, luxury brands, performance, and other things. So many online discussions centered on which celebrity attends, what they wear, and also a viral clip from the event. What the viral clip was is the celebrity at the events are drunk, partying, and also dancing like they're at the party event instead of a charity event. It's a charity event of breast cancer, but they don't even wearing such a pink ribbons and also spread educational messaging at the event. So people are mad and criticized for the appearance more like a celebrity networking party than a normal health awareness event.
Moving on to subtopic 3, which is the creativity and efficiency decreases. So this show TikTok brand article. So a relevant cases is the TikTok brand phenomenon, which gained global attention in 2025. Researchers found that excessive consumption of short-form videos on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Short may negatively affect attention span, memory, and learning ability. For example, many students opened TikTok during a study break but ended up scrolling for too much longer than intended. As a result, they spend less time focusing on their studies and may struggle to concentrate afterwards. This case shows how new media can reduce creativity because creative thinking requires deep focus and reflection. It also reduces efficiency because users spend more time consuming content rather than completing productive tasks. So next is the subtopic 4, which is multitasking does not exist. A suitable example is the rise of second screening where people use their smartphone while watching Netflix or television. So this shows a Guardian article screenshot. For example, someone may watch a movie while scrolling through TikTok or replying message. Although they believe they are multitasking, researchers explain that the brain is actually switching attention between tasks. As a result, viewers often miss important scenes and have difficulty remembering details from the program. This case supports the argument that multitasking is largely a myth because divided attention reduces comprehension and overall performance. Finally, is the subtopic 5 focuses on hyper-connected society affecting relationships. So this case I involve Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber cases. So this is the article. So a well-known example is the relationship between Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. Even years after their breakup, fans continue to discuss and analyze their relationship on social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and X. For examples, users frequently create videos analyzing song lyrics, all interviews, and social media posts, generating millions of views online. So this case demonstrates how relationships in today's digital age are constantly exposed to public attention. The lack of privacy and continuous online discussion can create pressure and emotional stress for those involved. In conclusion, all the cases show that while new media provides entertainment and connectivity, it also creates a culture of distraction. Excessive media consumption can reduce creativity, lower efficiency, weaken concentration, and even affect personal relationships. Therefore, users should develop healthy digital habits and learn to manage their media usage responsibly. That's all from me. Thank you.
Football, beautiful game. Well, it's a sport that brings together billions of people from different countries, cultures, languages, and even backgrounds. But apparently, it also brings together millions of people who believe that they know more than professional referees after watching a 12-second TikTok video clip that is blurry. Let's take this somewhere else, shall we? Because it looks like the weather is not giving us much positive energy here. I think it's about to rain. Let's go. And now, traditionally, the World Cup is about football and goals, passion, national pride. People crying dramatically while their country loses. And occasionally, English fans saying, "This is our year." Well, despite having said that, every 4 years since the invention of electricity. But in 2026, something else happened. The biggest stories weren't always happening on the pitch. They were happening online, on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, and sometimes in comment sections that look less like football discussions and more like abandoned psychiatric experiments. Well, today we're looking at how mass media and social media amplified racism, discrimination, and referee controversies during FIFA World Cup 2026. And honestly, it gets weird. Well, let's begin with online abuse. Because apparently, some football fans watch a player miss a penalty and immediately think, you know what? This situation needs racism, which is genuinely insane thought process. A football player misses a shot and suddenly someone on the internet decides to write a comment so offensive that it would get them removed from a family WhatsApp group. During tournament, players, coaches, and officials face enormous amounts of online abuse. Not criticism, not analysis, abuse. Racist remarks, discriminatory language, personal attacks, and the kind of comments that make you wonder whether some people watch football or simply use football as a creative writing exercise for hate speech. And the problem became so serious that FIFA expanded its social media protection service, which uses artificial intelligence to detect and filter abusive content. Think about that. Human beings became so terrible online that FIFA had to hire robots to protect people from other humans, negative humans. And that's not technological process. And that's not technological progress. That's digital babysitting. FIFA even organized an anti-hate speech initiative involving policymakers and TikTok representatives, which is a sentence that perfectly captures modern society. Because apparently solving racism now requires both international organizations and people who make dance videos. But here's the bigger issue. When hateful comments receive thousands of likes and shares, they gain visibility. And according to social learning theory, people learn behavior by watching others, by observing others. Meaning every viral hateful comment teaches others that this behavior is not normal, not acceptable, normal. And that's dangerous because eventually the loudest voices become the examples people follow. Now, case study 2. Referee controversies and social media outrage. Now, let's move to football's favorite tradition, blaming referees. And look, sometimes referees make mistakes. They're human. But if you read the social media during World Cup, you would think that every referee was secretly working for underground organization determined to destroy your own national team specifically. Firstly, we have Australia against United States, and the results came out with Australia fans publicly criticized the referee, the German referee, Felix Weyer, on social media and stadium. Secondly, we have Scotland suffered 1-0, defeated by Morocco after an early goal, with outrage sparked by 2 denied penalty appeals for fouls on John McGinn and Scott McTominay. Tartan Army supporters expressed heavy frustration across outlets like TalkSpot and Reddit regarding the use of video assistant referee VAR. Thirdly, we have Algeria, formally lodged a complaint with FIFA over refereeing injustice. Lastly, we have Switzerland against Qatar. Match generated intense debate regarding VAR interpretations and officiating consistency. Basically, if there was a referee within 50 meters of a football match, someone online was accusing them of corruption. And social media made everything worse because controversial clips spread instantly. A 10-second replay gets uploaded, then someone zooms in, then someone circles something in red, then somebody upload a 47 YouTube video titled "They Don't Want You to Know the Truth," which is usually followed by absolutely no truth whatsoever. The problem is that people increasingly form opinions before official explanations are released, before experts speak, before investigations happen, and sometimes before they actually watch the football match. Social media doesn't reward patience, it rewards outrage. The angrier you are, the more engagement you get, because in that way, engagement is the internet's favorite currency. Moving on to the next case, the VAR hand gesture controversy. Now let's discuss perhaps the strangest controversy of the tournament. A VAR official was accused of making a hand gestures associated with white supremacist groups. A clip appeared online. People immediately reacted. Articles were written. Posts went viral. And then arguments exploded. Everyone suddenly became an expert in body language analysis. Within hours, millions of people had already decided what had happened. The only problem? Nobody actually knew what happened. But FIFA investigated, reviewed the evidence, and ultimately cleared the official. But by then, public opinion had already formed. Because social media works like a microwave. Everyone wants immediate results. Nobody wants to wait. And this demonstrates something communication scholars call framing. Because the way information is presented influences how people interpret it. People weren't reacting to the investigation. They were acting to the narrative. And once a narrative goes viral, facts often arrive late to the party. So why is this matters? So what does all of this tell us about mass media and socialization? A lot, apparently. According to social learning theory, people learn behavior through observation, meaning online hostility can spread instantly because people keep seeing it. Whereas cultivation theory suggests that repeated media exposure shapes our understanding of reality. If fans constantly see stories about corruption, discrimination, and controversy, they may begin believing football is defined by those issues, even if those stories only a small part of the tournament. And agenda setting theory tells us that the media doesn't necessarily tell us what to think. It tells us what to think about. And during World Cup 2026, discussion about racism and controversy received more attention rather than the actual football itself, which is remarkable. Imagine being one of the best athletes in the world, scoring the winning goal, only to discover that the internet is more interested in arguing about a referee's elbow movement. That's gotta be frustrating. To sum this up, FIFA World Cup 2026 demonstrates that modern football is no longer confined to the pitch. Every match now has a second game happening online. A game of narrative, outrage, debates, hashtag, memes, and occasionally complete nonsense. Mass media remains incredibly powerful. It connects global audiences, creates communities, but it can also amplify hostility, misinformation, and division. The World Cup may last only a few weeks, but the conversations surrounding it can shape perceptions for years. And if FIFA World Cup 2026 teaches us anything, it's this: football isn't just being played in stadiums anymore. It's being played in comment section. And honestly, that might be the scarier competition. And that's all for me. Thank you.